Guys of Reddit, what's the biggest hint you missed from a girl? Via text. Girl, are you going to that party? Me, yeah, for a little bit. Probably gonna be boring. Girl, yeah, was thinking of just staying in. Me, probably a good plan. Girl, so yeah, I'll just be here tonight. Roommates are gone. Me, sounds nice. My roommates never leave. Girl, okay, so I'll be here all alone in my apartment. If the party sucks. Me, very good. Edit, since a few people asked, that night she put up a Facebook status that said wow. Some people really are just that oblivious, and I got the hint. We hooked up for a while. I told her I wasn't into a relationship and I guess she didn't believe me, so I had to cool things off with her. I really did try my best to be considerate of her feelings and was always communicative and honest, but she still felt pretty hurt. That was about 6 years ago and she still talks it about me. Watching TV in my living room at roughly 2 AM. In the dark. Her. Applying strawberry lip gloss. Me. Why are you putting on lip gloss? Her. Strawberry lip gloss tastes so nice. Me. Haha, you're weird. Her. Want a taste? Me. Nah, I already know what it tastes like. Comments several years of late night self-loathing and regret. Had a girl I was dating in high school. We were macking on my bed and I started kissing her neck. She says stop, that makes me horny, but in a playful way. Youngster me was like whoa, no abuse from I. Edit, so just an offhand comment gets me 5,700 more points than I had 48 hours ago, thanks to you all. Me, I really wanna try to sleep with a tall girl. See how it's like. Attractive girl, well, I'm 6 feet 2 inches. I'm about 5 feet 8. Me, nah, I was thinking about 7 feet tall. Still haunts me. You know I'm single, right? Yeah, me too. I had a girl literally just explicitly say she liked me and wanted to date, and I assumed she was joking. She was not. In class, a girl asked if we could study together for a minor quiz at her place. A friend overhears and asks if he can join us. I say yes immediately before she can say anything. She sends us her address and a time. I show up and she answers the door in a bikini. Nobody else at her place. She says she was sunbathing and asks me into her room while she changes. I look away to be polite and then make small talk once she's done. My friend shows up 30 minutes later. Turns out she told him that the study group started 30 minutes after what she told me. Sigh. Girl invited me upstairs for coffee after a date. I replied with something very similar to, no thanks. I don't like coffee, it keeps me up. It wasn't until I was watching Seinfeld later that I realized I have the dating skills of George Costanza. In high school, I walked into a classroom and a very attractive girl that was an acquaintance at most came up to me and said, DJW, did you know that Rodrigo and I broke up? I said, oh, sorry to hear that, and went on my way. Then I spent the rest of the day and night thinking about that. Why the hell would she tell me that? Why the hell would she tell me that? Why was she smiling when she told me that? The next time I saw her, I asked her what she was doing that weekend and she said, nothing. Do you want to go to a movie? That was the moment that I realized what was happening. And I wound up getting a date out of it. And eventually, a family. Best friend and I spent a couple of hours talking. During the conversation we talked about her dildo collection. And how a particular one is her favorite. We talked about things that made us horny. One of hers was the smell of cooked garlic. She mentioned she was making a dish that used cooked garlic while we were talking. By the end of the conversation she had stripped, making sure to tell me she was naked, that she was going to take a shower, and that her front door would be unlocked. She couldn't have made it any plainer without straight out telling me to come duck her. And I totally didn't pick up on any of the clues until months later. But by then it was too late. She said, I do tarot cards. Just before I came here, I did the reading and it said my night would end with a bang. Yup. Went on a date with a girl and she asked if I wanted to come back to hers and stay over. I thought it was perfect as I had work in the morning and she lived right around the corner. I literally got into her bed, said goodnight, turned over and went to sleep. About a year later something reminded me of that night and the penny dropped. What a ducking idiot. Edit, a word. A girl I'd been chatting with for a while asked to come back to my hotel room to see my music collection on my laptop. So I took her back and showed her my music collection for 30 minutes. That's not a euphemism. I literally did that until she took pity on how clueless I was and basically jumped me. We were seeing a movie together and she said she was cold. I said yeah, it's pretty chilly, and did nothing. Later she said it again. Pretty obvious what she wanted. I proceeded to give her my jacket to put around her. I'm a practical man. When she insisted on bringing a bottle of wine from her restaurant back to my place, when I said no, she then said, well then can I come over without the bottle of wine? A lifetime ago in high school, the extremely cute exchange student from Spain sort of cornered me and started asking questions about an upcoming school dance. What is it like? Is it fun? Are you going with anyone? Enos, if you're out there, I'm sorry, I'm a dope. Drove every week from PA to Chicago to see a girl I had a crush on. Still lived with her parents, so I never stayed the night. She always was flirty, but then me was oblivious. When I stayed later than usual one night, and I yawned, she said you should just stay the night and we can get a hotel room. I said nah, I'm good to drive. I'll make it. She said, no, don't be silly. We can hang out tonight. I was in the middle of Ohio when I realized what she meant. I think I love you. Me too. Thanks. No joke. I'm ducking deaf. Edit. Duck you kind stranger. One of the bustiest, beautiful and smartest girls I've met in my life leans up against a nearby car and tells me you should ask me out. Socially inept 17-YO Rex. Sure. Never did. Only after she started acting angry at me did I realize she had a crush on me the whole time. So what do you like in a girl? Sexually, I guess what's important to me is a friendship like closeness. I've posted this before. Copy pasta. Got a late night tech support call from an acquaintance. Went over, fixed the computer, thanked her for the call cause it was an interesting issue, and left. Found out about a week later it was a booty call. The girl was so baffled by my reaction she never tried again. Hey, I've got a pillow fort up in my room if you wanna check it out. Me. Okay cool. Well, see ya. Edit. For everyone asking, I had lunch plans right after I walked her to her dorm, so I didn't think about going up to check out that sweet pillow fort she had. They say guys always are just thinking about sex, but boy has this thread proven that wrong. Was in a movie with my girlfriend and she undid her top for me. I didn't notice much, so she kept on taking my box of mandems and leaving it on her chest. I asked her if something wrong and asked her if she wanted mandems. I posted this on an old account, but my favorite response will always be when you violent thespian said that my typed words caused him physical distress. I was 17. It was the year 2007. Smartphones were coming out. Blu-ray was the hype. You could get an amazing mortgage from Washington Mutual. Deal or No Deal swept the country as Rihanna invited us to stand under her umbrella. A former co-worker of mine from a pretzel store in the mall invited me over to her house to watch a movie on a Saturday night. I always found her cute and I liked her, so I figured, why not? And ditched my friends to see her. Anyway, I got to her house. Big, beautiful mansion. It made sense since she had 6 siblings and her parents living there. We also lived in an upper middle class town. There were no vehicles on her driveway and all the lights were off, except for one. I knocked on the door and she answered, wearing those softy shorts and tight tank top, holding a Mike's Hard Lemonade. She explained that her family was on vacation about 800 miles away, but she had to stay behind because we took the SAS that day. She invited me upstairs to her room where she only had a bed and a TV. I'm wondering why we didn't go to the family room where she had one of those awesome LCD TVs. She offered me a drink, and I said no. She told me to lay in bed with her as we watched The Guardian. Then I watched The Guardian with her. Then the movie ended. Then I said goodnight and drove back home. Had a girl I liked on top of me late one night at a party. She literally said I want to duck you. Virgin me just thought she was being silly and went to sleep that night. Hanging out with a co-worker at her apartment, each 19-20-ish, sitting on the couch side by side. She complained that her large breasts were a pain to deal with because of their size. Followed by, "Do you want to touch them?" I sort of half juggled them, as though I was comparing the weight involved, and said nice. Not the only signal I missed that night, but probably my defining moment of obvious failure. I need practice making out. Okay, then. Invited me over to watch a movie as the parents were out that night. I chose to go to my rec soccer game. All of them. All of the hints. I am a moron. Stop hinting. Just be direct and say it. Otherwise I will miss it. This was back in high school. Her wanting to be around me all the time during breaks. Constantly hugging me. Constantly wanting me to go with her places she needed to go. Or just walking around campus. Running up to me with a huge smile on her face every time. I liked her back then as well. But my insecurity was at an all-time high back then, so I kept telling myself that there was no way she liked me and just wanted to be friends. Years later I would find out that, yeah, she did like me back then and that I was just an idiot for not seeing it. This lets me share my favorite story. I had been dating this girl for a little over a month, and we were at her house kissing on her couch. It should be noted that I was in my mid-20s, as was she, at this time. After the kissing, we got to talking, and she talked about juggling, which I could do, and magic, which, at the time, I couldn't. So I said the only magic trick I know is taking off a bra one-handed, and she said no you can't. Prove it. So, I unhooked her bra with one hand, and she was considerably impressed. I offered to help her hook it back on, and she said nah and took it off from under her shirt. After that, we kissed a little more. Talked a little more, and I went home. About 2 weeks later was when I had the realization. I was with her at the time, and I was like, oh it, you wanted me to grab your boobs the other week when I undid your bra, didn't you? And she just laughed and said I wondered if you'd ever put that together. At this point, we had crossed the boob touching barrier. If memory serves, she literally grabbed my hand and put it there. I am not a smart man. Girl I was texting said something along the lines of my roommates and I want to get ice cream. I offered to drive knowing none of them had cars. Show up to their dorm. Only she comes out. We get ice cream to go and I dropped her back off. An invite to watch a movie. She was wearing very skimpy clothing. After the movie ended, I went home. Realized at that moment that I was an idiot. Girl here. Y'all are dumb as duck. I don't know what is sadder, getting an obvious hint and missing it or never getting one at all. You should come over, and what would I be doing over there? Sleeping with me. I assumed it was a poor choice of words. Edit. To be fair, guys, I previously told her I was into her and at the time she said she wasn't. This was only like a week or two apart. Met a girl at a school club convention in another city. There was a dance in the hotel on the last day. Girl I was dancing with asked if she could drop by my room in the morning to read the funny papers before we all had to check out. I bought a newspaper. After our first date we were sat in her car outside my house. I wasn't entirely sure whether it was a date or not as we'd been to see Hot Fuzz at the cinema. We'd been chatting, having a good time, but nothing said she's really into me. And as we worked together I didn't want to duck things up at work by making a ridiculous move like the bumbling idiot I am. She asked to come in, and I ducking turned her down. Said it's late and we'd wake my parents. It was 11:30 or so at night. I said goodbye and got out the car. No kiss. Nothing. Went indoors. A month or two later she told me she really wanted to sleep with me that night. We're engaged now and have 2 beautiful children, so it worked out okay in the end. Was on a date. She said I think I would like it if you came over and I could show you my place. We do. She makes me dinner, turns on a movie and starts making out. I watched the whole damn movie and kept laughing at parts through making out. I didn't get laid that night. I did watch all of I Love You Man and gotta say, I enjoyed it. Not me, my friend. He has a habit of being a complete ducking idiot and this was one of his moments. He was around 16 at the time in class. The girl next to him was one of the popular girls and we weren't that popular. They would politely chat to each other. Anyway, One day she said to him, "You know you're a really nice guy and you always." He just derped, completely stopped her in her tracks and replied, "No." Later I asked him why he did that. He said he didn't know but he didn't like her anyway. The next day he comes in and says, "Bro, I think I may like that girl." I was 17 and this girl I worked with was like 20. She was super hot but I was intimidated because she was older. We would hook each other up with bags of weed now and then but that's it. Well, one time I go over to her apartment to get a bag and there is a sticky note on the door saying Anonymous Shero 1. Come on in. I go in and walk back to her room. She had roommates. Her own room had a couch and bed and bathroom etc. She's in the shower. I sit on the couch and wait a bit. Then the shower turns off and she calls out, "You there?" and say, "I am." He says, "Close your eyes." So I tip my hat down and turn my head down so I can't see anything. But I can hear her exit the bathroom and a moment later she says, "Okay, you can look," and she's sitting on the bed dressed in what appears to be nothing but a towel. I didn't make a move. Was too scared. I casually bought the weed and left. I was 17. Had just been kicked out of 2 different houses and was crashing with this girl. She was like, "You can sleep in my bed if you want," were changed in front of me and was wearing my shirt around all the time. I was so caught up in figuring out where I was gonna go live that I didn't even notice. She was easily the hottest chick I've ever hung out with and according to my brother she was super into you, dude. I still cree every team. In my 20s, shop assistants telling me that I finish work in 10 minutes. I'd walk out of the shop thinking, why did she tell me that like 5 times? About 20 years later I was thinking about it and the penny dropped. It doesn't happen anymore. Had a girl in my car saying 6 in the front seat would be amazing. I told her I used to duck my girlfriend there all the time. Yeah. My girlfriend and I, before we were dating, went full depth in high school about what a relationship would be like between us, and we both described everything to be perfect. At the end we both ended up saying, "No, this is just a joke and would never happen." We have been dating for almost 4 years now. My brother had a girl hit on him. She said something along the lines of she gets so horny that it is affecting her schoolwork. She needed to find a way to handle it. My brother said, "You should masturbate more." He literally told this girl to go duck herself. A girl wrote a poem about me. Said, "Joe said he thinks this poem is about you. What do you think?" And then had me read it. The poem described me exactly and said about wanting to be with the person the poem was referring to and all that. And I still assumed since she was out of my league that the poem wasn't about me. Was in my early 20s and a bunch of us were camping in CA Redwoods. As the campfire started winding, a girl I had struck up a report with asked me like 5 times where I was planning on sleeping that night. I answered practically like I don't know. Somewhere around here each time and didn't understand what her concern was. Like maybe she thought there were places in the campsite people weren't allowed to sleep or something. In the morning it suddenly occurred to me. She was playing footsies with me at a table while talking about how she wanted an Asian guy. I'm Asian. I was at this girl's birthday party in college, and she and I kinda hit it off and we made out a little. When everyone had either left or gone to sleep, we were trying to figure out where I should crash. She said, "I guess you could stay here, in her room." Me, "Nah, I guess I'll just crash on the couch." I cringed just typing that out. One of my best friends is a girl. I made close friends with one of her friends and it turned into us two hanging out without my best friend. This girl, like me at the time, was a movie junkie. She'd come over and we'd chill in my room, on my bed watching movies and smoking the occasional joint. She'd often stay past transit hours and sleep over. This happened honestly about every week for 2-3 months. This girl left the country and we lost touch. Fast forward to about last year, Netflix and chill became a term. I say it to my best friend one day in passing, like the term, not the suggestion, and she says that's what that girl was trying to do with you before it was even a thing. It hit me like a montage of flashbacks, the late night sleepovers, the scary movie choices, the let's watch this in your room, duck, worst parties, ladies and ghettomen. I actually liked this girl too. Went to a concert in college at a tiny basement venue on campus to watch a friend's band play. Sat alone for a bit and just chilled out. Really cute girl I'd never met randomly sits next to me, looks at me and smiles. I get really nervous and can't think of what to do. I keep reminding myself just be cool so many times that I forget to say anything. She eventually gets up and leaves. To this day, I haven't forgiven myself. The girl I liked for years finally broke with her boyfriend and I randomly found her in a show. She tells me that and we hang out for the entire night. She even held my hand. I didn't do anything. The girl essentially gave me every imaginable hint to go for the kiss. Later on she posted "kiss me you fool" as her status that she pinned until now. It's been 3 years almost. Edit. I am no longer single since like 2 years. And I just realized how dumb about a few months ago, and then I checked her social media and realized, TBH, I always thought I got rejected. LMAO. 3rd grade. I was fascinated that I figured out you could tell who had a crush on who by watching where people looked, who they looked at, when they thought no one else was looking. At the exact same time I kept looking up at the girl I had a crush on and meeting her gaze as she looked at me, which I found incredibly embarrassing. A couple of years later I put 2 and 2 together. And that's pretty much the biggest signal I've ever noticed. Which is more about me being oblivious than anything.